The Tragedy of Bethany Anne Decker, January 28, 2011. The last time 21-year-old Bethany Anne Decker was seen alive by her husband, Emil Decker, and grandmother as she left for her apartment. 5 months pregnant at the time, she failed to say goodbye to her husband at the airport on 2nd February. She did not show up for classes at George Mason University or at work. But her absence went by without raising alarm, for her Facebook account kept posting for up to 3 weeks. People started noticing that it wasn't actually Bethany who was sending messages. Several friends messaged Bethany's mother, Kim, who noticed subtle hints, the spelling mistakes, the difference in overall tone. Her husband, Emil, was growing concerned as he too received an email that wasn't her. Was she hacked? Bethany's grandparents noticed her previously missing car was parked outside her complex with a flat tire. To their horror, they realized there was nobody home. She was actually missing, and it might just be too late. Welcome to the Mystique channel, where we will discuss how a TV show and a domestic violence survivor helped solve the mystery of the disappearance of Bethany Anne Decker. The young mother was reported missing on 19th February, but authorities of Ashburn, Virginia recognized the urgency of the matter and acted fast. Bethany's phone, credit, and debit records showed no activity since January 29th. She hadn't attended classes, sought medical help, or left the country. Her apartment displayed no signs of disturbance, and her belongings were still present, indicating no intention to leave. But the biggest sign was that she hadn't checked on her son, Kai, which was highly unlike her. For the first week of March, divers searched waters around Ashburn, while K-9 units searched fields. Emil, who was a soldier deployed overseas, was flown back home. He went through voluntary polygraph testing and hours of interrogation, and even had records of his whereabouts between 28th January to 2nd February. He was a suspect because he had recently found out that Bethany was pregnant with another man's child. She had been unfaithful to Emil. Let's back it up and see what led to the situation. Emil and Bethany had been happily married and were parents to their son, Kai.
Kai? You playing with your Elmo toy?
But soon, financial troubles and stress drove them apart. Bethany was working at a restaurant as well as taking care of her son, while Emil was preparing to be deployed to Afghanistan when she moved into an apartment, giving their marriage a break. That's when she met 31-year-old Ronald Roldan, a Bolivian immigrant. Ronald was jealous and controlling, and Kim feared he was abusive towards little Kai as well. Bethany came clean to Emil, who still wanted to be with her and work things out. At the end of 2010, he sent her a lovely message on TV.
Hi, I'm Specialist Decker, and I'm stationed at Morales Fraser. And I just want to give a lovely shout out to my wife, who lives in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and to my son, Kai. I love you and I miss you very much.
When Emil got home mid-January 2011, he realized there was a lot more to the story. Bethany was 4 months pregnant with Ronald's child. Having faced the horrors of war, he was forgiving and was just happy to be home. The couple went on a holiday to Hawaii, and upon her return, Bethany met her grandmother on the 28th of January. They made pizza and invited Emil for dinner. Bethany told them how guilt-ridden and stressed she had been, but as soon as her phone rang, she ran out. Her last words, "You don't understand what's going to happen to me if I don't get home." It was so abrupt that Emil was left unsure of their marital status. Bethany was supposed to see Emil off at the airport on 2nd February, but never showed up. When detectives got hold of Ronald, he actually informed police that while Emil had seen her on the 28th, Ronald was the last person to see her alive on the afternoon of the 29th. Ronald said she had ended things with him, so he assumed she slipped off his radar because they had broken up. So he went to his ex-girlfriend Danielle's house to spend time with his children. Her manager informed the police that she had called at 2 p.m. to confirm her shift at the restaurant that night, but failed to come to work. She had made a withdrawal from the ATM at 4:26 p.m. Ronald messaged Bethany at 4:01 p.m. and 4:31 p.m., informing her that he would stay with his children at their apartment, but her phone had no activity after she contacted work at 2:08 p.m. When Danielle dropped the children off at around 4:30 p.m., Ronald mentioned a fight with Bethany, suggesting she had left. When Danielle returned, Ronald hadn't heard from Bethany since that day. After a thorough search of his apartment, hard drives, and phone, police had nothing to link him to the missing woman, making him a person of interest, but not a suspect.
With Bethany's disappearance, he said he was hopeful that Bethany would come home and was praying for her safe return.
Mystery tonight now in Loudoun County, a young woman.
By Bethany's 23rd birthday in 2012, the case that made national news was nowhere near being solved.
Pat Brown, criminal profiler and author of The Profiler. Pat, as always, great to see you. Pat, something's not right here.
I mean, theoretically, she could have run off and then, decided to slowly reappear. But, I don't know. That's why they can't say yet that whether she's missing or she's dead.
Being an investigator, I don't blame law enforcement for not giving up too much information because there are so many questions.
Her family threw her a small memorial. End of that year, Discovery Channel dedicated an episode to her in hopes of finding her. 2 years later, a 911 call shed light on a side that Ronald police hadn't considered. It was November of 2014 when Vicki Willoughby reported Roland almost killed her, beating her, breaking her neck, and shooting her in the head. She lost an eye.
Disappearance.
I've seen the look in his face when he came back at me the second time that evening to kill me, and he was smiling. So I do believe that he cannot control it. It's what he does. He kills things.
He violently beat me. He broke my neck in 2 places. He left bite marks all over my back. He choked me out twice. He was suffocating me. And then the gunfight started. He just told me that he can make people disappear and that I'd better be quiet and I'd better not go to the police. That's what he told me. Standing in my living room, leaning up against the sliding glass doors. I think he was just...
Police say her ex was the last person to see this missing pregnant woman.
He tried to take my life. He never once denied that he killed Bethany.
Vicki managed to report some incriminating details about Roland. Ronald was jailed for the assault in 2016, but thanks to Vicki's revelation of Ronald's threats of making people disappear and their link to Bethany's case reignited interest in him as a suspect, and he was interviewed in North Carolina jail. Ronald had a history of violence. Before Vicki, he had been charged with pushing a woman down the stairs, spitting on her and throwing out her clothes. He paid $2,500 to get the charges dropped.
Dan told her things which could implicate him in Decker's disappearance.
Investigators combed the area near Bethany Decker's Ashburn apartment 4 years ago. They never found the 21-year-old. The young mother and wife of a soldier in Afghanistan was 5 months pregnant when she vanished.
It's so hard not knowing anything and not being able to read.
Investigations uncovered a sociopathic pattern of abuse in relationships. Bethany and Ronald's Facebook had been accessed from the same IP, leading to Ronald's official abduction charge in Bethany Decker's case. He was charged in April 2015 and pled guilty in 2016, receiving 6 to 8 years in prison. He confessed that an argument had led him to strike her, whereabouts she hit her head and died. Afraid, he bagged and threw her body in the trash compactor. In February 2023, Ronald received 40 years in prison with all but 12 and a half suspended, almost as much time as Bethany's family had spent looking for her. Sadly, Bethany's body was never recovered, but her loved ones sought some closure in her killer being behind bars. Upon release, he would be on parole for 5 years and not allowed to be near Bethany's family. Any slip-up, and the suspension on the 40 years would be lifted. Bethany Anne Decker's story tells us how dangerous an abusive relationship can be, and to seek help immediately is such cases. Sadly, it was too late for Bethany. We can only hope that Ronald Roland will be kept from harming anyone in the future as he poses a danger to the society. If you found this video intriguing, don't forget to like it and share it with others who may be fascinated by such stories. Subscribe to our channel for more captivating content on history's mysteries and intriguing figures. Hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.